Austria is a very beautiful and historically rich country. It's located in the central heart of Europe and has existed for nearly 1,000 years at this point. Let's travel there now in the modern day to see some famous attractions and meet some historical figures of the past. One of the first historical places you'll likely notice are the Austrian Alps. They span virtually the entirety of the country's southeastern half and are famously seen in the 1965 film The Sound of Music. Schönbrunn Palace holds great significance to the country as well due to the famous Habsburg rulers who used to reside there. The palace was quite grand and inviting, featuring a rich interior and meticulous gardens. It's a very beautiful palace and it's still standing to this day. The rulers themselves are an entire story by themselves as they ruled over large parts of Europe from the 13th to 20th century. The last historically significant place I will discuss is this, a museum opened by Franz Joseph I of Austria-Hungary. I saw mostly old paintings and statues there, but it was still fun knowing all these things were painted long before even my grandparents were born. Let's take a break now and look at some natural places I saw. Green Lake is a very interesting natural place along with the Krümmel waterfalls. They both feature fantastical views, but it's probably not a good idea to go swimming there as it's very cold. Now that I've taken you to these amazing places, what can you do there? Some cultural events I witnessed include the Almabtrieb, marking the end of summer, the Krampus tradition, in which figures of the creepier Santa roam the streets, and the summer solstice or Sonnenwende, which takes place on the longest day of the year. All of these events are marked by large festivals in the streets, as well as local fairs and markets. The most famous Austrians I met include the likes of Mozart, who everybody recognizes for his music, Erwin Schrödinger, one of the most renowned and controversial scientists in history, along with Sigmund Freud, and Anna Stower is an internationally recognized rock climber. Freud, along with Schrödinger, died in the 20th century, Mozart lived in the 1700s, and Anna is still alive to this day. All of these people had huge impacts on the fields of science, music, and sportsmanship respectively. All of the people I met were fairly cold to me, mostly because they didn't approve of my Western optimism, but they were quite wise. I mostly ate at cafes near the Alps, which include pastries and coffees, but one more traditional meal I had was Tiroler Grostel, which was beef, pork, potatoes, and onions topped by a fried egg. Chef Heinz Rotbauer cooked me this meal, and although I'm sure it wouldn't be added to his menu of contemporary Austrian food, which includes things like kid goat, I apparently asked nicely enough. The whole restaurant had this off-putting glassy look as well, but the food was very good anyway. A game I enjoyed while I was there was essentially the Austrian form of ice curling and involves trying to get ice stalks into goals, and the game is traditionally played on ice. Overall, the nature here was beautiful. The people were actually quite well spoken in English, and I definitely enjoyed the smaller towns more. Some of the food was a bit unusual in my opinion, and I would have enjoyed some more games and less creepy festivals, but the people that hailed from Austrian history were genius, and they definitely paved the road for the future. I'm glad that despite being faced with turmoil, this country still exists. I'll rate it 7.5 out of 10 for being kinda like Germany but not quite. The people do speak German, but dialects vary from place to place. It's kind of like how in the US, if you go to the South, you'll understand what people are saying most of the time, but not really. And traveling definitely required some more unique methods like trams. I had a fairly good trip, and I would definitely recommend other people to visit this country as well.